All right, we are back one final time with two final guests, the first of which is Alex Larrabee, the founder of Big Stump Brewing. Alex, thanks for joining the live stream.
Nice to meet you.
And you are based just about 3 blocks from where we're sitting here in Sacramento. What are you guys doing over at Big Stump? You told me lots of sour beer.
So yeah, we're a tap room and production brewery. We have about 75 seats. We're in the middle of downtown Sacramento. We have 20 taps right now, and we try to focus on 5 sour beers, kind of 5 Belgians, and 5 IPAs, and then kind of a rotating grab bag. We're most known for our sours. We run a very robust kettle souring program, and so we tend to do it's a primary fermentation with lactobacillus that drops the pH from like 4.5 to 3.15, 3.2, and then we have a house Brett culture that we use batch to batch that we repitch, and that has kind of become our the signature for our sours.
Awesome. So you're finding kind of a niche market here in Sacramento for sour beers?
Yeah, I would say Sacramento's market is a very mature market at this point. I mean, there's no room for bad product, right? And passion alone is not going to get you there. And so finding your own voice, though, once product quality there is its own separate challenge. And for us, we found people have been very responsive to our sour beers and our barrel-aged beer program as well.
Now, we're based in Boston, but I'm originally from California. My sister actually went to school here in the Sacramento area. I went to Sacramento State. Go Hornets.
Nice.
And so I'm a little bit familiar with just the area in general. And I've been in Boston for 8 years now, but even up until a few years ago, Sacramento, there really wasn't much going on with the beer scene, but that's changed quite a bit. Talk to me just about the 2 years that you've been involved and how much it's changed.
Yeah, it's been a really engaging and at times challenging period of growth for us. I think, we are trying to average 100% year-over-year growth, and so that's always a challenge, and how you do that on a fiscal side as well is also very interesting. I think Sacramento and San Diego and LA are kind of the most mature beer markets at this point, and particularly the per capita numbers, I think, would bear that out pretty much across the board. Really what I've seen in Sacramento is more the trend towards hyper-localization is what I would say. And so community-oriented tap rooms are doing exceedingly well. And I do think there are some shifts in larger business dynamics, maybe away from distribution and more towards creating a unique experience for your customers through your tap room. And so I guess I would say that would be a shift I've seen over the past 2 years in our market. Yeah.
So how big of a piece is the tap room for your business?
I mean, dollar-wise, it's very important for us. We have a downtown location. We have a really good following and a lot of good foot traffic. We are definitely a brew pub-oriented model, and so we just don't have the physical space to do 10,000 barrels a year or something like that, And so, but with us, it has been really interesting. People have really responded. We've seen this time and time again, to just having a space where they can have a unique experience and try beers where the servers are super knowledgeable about them and try something unique and engaging. Yeah.
So in terms of growth opportunities for you guys, what's the strategy? Are you guys going to continue to look at a taproom retail focused model for growth, or will you guys look to, expand distribution?
Super interesting, and I don't want to get too far into business trade secrets. My wife is looking at me right now from off camera, but I guess there's 2 larger strategies, right? One, and for us, the model that we found that has really worked is using our tap rooms to become kind of also mini distribution centers and distribute locally for that. And so we're kind of eyeing right now, I'd say a kind of chain of spaces in in location in locations that allow us to continue to build a brand essentially. And so it is definitely a lot of work and a challenge, and it's different from having a 60-barrel brew house in a central location and all that, and we are fully committed to self-distribution at this point, and I think that is largely the way the market is going. And so for us, it's really there's strategic locations where we can have a tap room, but then also enable us to expand our distribution footprint. And beyond that, I probably can't get more specific.
That's fair. No, that's fair.
Yeah.
How challenging has it been to balance the brewing side and the tap room retail side with a self-distribution model as well?
They are two distinct and different types of business. I think anyone listening that operates in either arm will definitely know. Distribution sales are definitely the much more labor-intensive effort for us. I mean, we care 100% about the guests that come through our tap room, and we are committed for that experience. But the realities of the distribution market these days are it's hyper competitive, and if you don't have access through larger distributors, I mean it's me and my sales manager going personally pitching everywhere. And that being said, on the backside, you can't discount the personal connection power. I'm the guy that makes the beer, and I'm here to talk to you about it, and that's different from some sales rep that has to cover 1,000 square miles of territory, and it just needs you to buy today, right? Yeah.
So I can tell you're very passionate about the product.
Everyone says that. I don't understand that. Yeah.
I'm curious, like, how far does that take you in a competitive environment like the one we're in? Like, passion was able to carry a brand a long ways, a few years ago. And now that it is so competitive and, people are really crunching the numbers and sharpening their pencils, I'm curious, how that passion play works today. Is it still a pretty big, important piece?
So the passion, for me, craft beer is about art and science. And the passion fills in on the art side. It's what is this going to taste like? What is this exciting combination we're making? Like, how can we express ourselves as a really fun space that people want to be at? And so the passion and the art, that's all tied up in craft beer. The science side is the actual biochem fermentation side of stuff. Like, how can we produce a consistent, clean, quality product for public consumption, right? And it's the intersection of the two, the passion with the art, with your technical prowess, that really enable a brewery, I think, to grow, right? Yeah, and until you have those two complementary components, those are necessary precursors to meaningful growth.
Yeah. So speaking of growth, how much beer are you guys going to produce this year, and what are you looking at for next year?
We'll hit 750 barrels this year, and this is also interesting for what you were saying before, because part of the theme of this week has been, what do you want out of this industry? How big do you want to get? At what point is growth not meaningful to you as the individual? And what is your personal life balance as well? And, I think for the vision my wife and I have for the company, it's like 3,000 barrels would be great, but it's like I don't have some huge, we don't need 30,000 barrels or 100,000 barrels a year to be successful. And, I think success in a large matter is how you define it and then how you execute your goals or your plan to achieving your goals, right? Yeah. And totally. And so I think for us is to cap out around 2,500 barrels, and that will be our version of success. Yeah.
That's great. I mean, it seems like you have some pretty realistic expectations then.
I would say so.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, I think, people can lose sight of that, when they're looking around at some of their neighbors or some of their competitors in some cases and seeing, ridiculous growth numbers. We talked to a few breweries today. I was honestly surprised to learn that, a couple of these breweries coming out of the Bay Area in just a year and a half or 2 years have gone from, literally no production to 7,000 barrels. and it's a steep growth curve, and not everybody is going to do that. Not everyone is going to be on that same trajectory.
Well, and I guess what I would say to that is, what does that mean to those individuals? Like, my wife and I are the vast majority shareholders in our company, and so if you do multiple equity raising rounds and you take out a bunch of debt, and it's like,
that changes how you function.
It fundamentally changes the corporate structure of the company on what you have to do, and we just try to we are always operating from a cash flow positive perspective, but all our stuff is really towards leveraging cash flow to achieve meaningful ROI so that we can achieve growth. And there are certain bottlenecks for us where that we're kind of butting up against right now, where it's necessary to bring on a second kind of equity round or even partially debt financing. We still are not sure what that looks like, but the jumps are big jumps in this industry. It's not 100 barrels. It's double your capacity. Like year over year are the jumps, and that's super capital intensive, and it also takes the right kind of subset of investors that are interested in the passion aspect, I would say, and then also, the financials are everything as well, right?
I mean, it all comes down to what your financials
dollars
look like,
and cents, baby.
Yeah. Well, if somebody's looking to invest in someone who's passionate, you got it right here. Mm-hmm. Alex, Big Stump Brewing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. If you're in Sacramento, in the downtown area, check out Big Stump.
1716 L Street. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right, thanks, man.